Okay, next on our agenda is an activities update with Charlie Campbell.
Well, the good news is, after a lengthy start to this board meeting, I'm going to be fairly short. So, I think presented to you, you have some information on participation numbers for your review. I would just welcome you to take the opportunity to do that. I'm not really here to talk about that today, but rather just share a little bit about kind of a professional growth journey that I've been on for the last several years, but I feel over the course of this last school year, it's really starting to impact our coaches in a big way, and I hope down the road our greater community. And so I can just kind of take you through this presentation. A number of years ago, I was privileged, I want to say my second year in Brainerd, to be invited to take part in some coaches' education planning with Jody Redmond from the Minnesota State High School League. I'm not sure why I was asked. I know just being here in Brainerd was one of the reasons why, because we are a significant presence in greater Minnesota, and because of the reputation of our school district, our community, and the educational leaders. Little did I know what I was getting myself into, but we developed an entire coaching curriculum around a book that's called Inside Out Coaching by Joe Ehrman. He's a retired NFL guy, and it talks about his journey as a coach. And it's really a life narrative, and there's 4 questions that he gets to the heart of, that he says all coaches really have to answer to. And it's, why do I coach? Why do I coach the way that I do? How does it feel to be coached by me? And how do you define success? And if we're not, it's really about creating purpose, the why. And if we don't do that, then we are going to become win at all costs. Our program exists to enhance the educational mission of the high school. If it didn't, there would be no place for it. You would be wasting your resources. But I can assure you that you are not, that we do enhance the educational mission of the high school. But we are being squeezed culturally by big-time collegiate and professional sports, where it's entertainment-based, where it's performance-based. And then on the other side of that is the youth and amateur sports model, where it's basically pay for play. And so we are in the middle of that, and we are claiming to be different, but our space has been getting squeezed. And so for several years, I was privileged to take part in diving into Joe's book, developing some curriculum, as more and more of our coaches that come into our ranks are not teachers, they're not educators, they're citizens, they're bankers, they're attorneys, they're concrete block pourers, and don't necessarily have a connection to the educational system. And it's a shift and it's a change. And so what can we give them to help them be more successful? And so there's incredible turnover. And so began this journey. And kind of where we're at today is there's a 5-step pathway to really become kind of an inside-out school, if you will. And that's the first slide that you're looking at here, the first slide in your packet. When we first started, this was a linear process, and what we've realized is that with constant turnover, whether it's at the district level administration, whether it's school board turnover, whether it's our coaches, whether it's the influx of kids and parents that continue to move into our programs, that this is a circular process. And so we really started with talking about goals and purpose, common language, and we've moved from there. And so I'm going to bring you to my purpose. I have 4 core values in here: living, loving, passion, and courage. Those core values were incorporated into my purpose statement. I have tough days in my job. This spring has presented several of them, and it's good to fall back on a purpose. If not, the long days can get maybe even a little bit longer. And our coaches need to do the same. And so here is my purpose statement for you to see. Our common language talks about goals and purpose. Winning is a goal. It's important we set goals. We want to compete. We want to compete well. Kids want to perform, and they want to perform well. But winning is not our purpose. Our purpose is to enhance the educational mission of the school. We want to use sport as our platform. Less than 3% of kids will play beyond high school, which means 97% of our kids have a terminal experience in high school. It means when they graduate as seniors, whether they're hockey players or basketball players or swimmers, it's the last time they're going to do it in a competitive nature. So we have to ask the question, what are we doing for the 97%? And how are we benefiting them? So what we are an education-based program. We extend the classroom from 3:30 to 5:30, sometimes much, much later when we go to Moorhead on a Thursday and show up at school the next day. We emphasize the growth and development of the human being. We reward effort and not just winning. We give permission to fail. I like to talk to the coaching staff about we create kind of a laboratory, a safe place where kids can take risks and still be okay, where we can fail and still be okay. And it's kind of our laboratory to do that. And then here's one in particular, is we focused on human beings first and second on human doings. That is, every child that shows up in our program, their skill levels are all over the map. Some play a lot, and we read about them in the paper. Some don't play at all, and we don't read about them in the paper. But we value them because they are, and because they show up to our program. Over the course of this year, we identified 6 core values that our coaching staff felt like these are the things that our programs collectively do for kids, and things that we want to be intentional about teaching our kids when they're in our programs. And so at the top of the pyramid, and these are not in any particular order, they just happen to make a nice pyramid when you put them in this fashion, but is grit. We really love that word because grit has nothing to do with how good you are. It has nothing to do with skill, but it encompasses determination and perseverance and toughness and things that we really think kids get from being in our programs. And we think that's a really important quality, character trait that kids need to have just to survive in this life and to succeed. We think caring for your teammates is really important. We think coaches need to care about kids. Respect, positivity, responsibility, and trustworthiness. One message that I always share with our coaches is we cannot teach these things if we don't model them. And so how important is it that we model these things for our kids? And it's certainly a level of accountability that we bring to ourselves, and we do it willingly, by the way. We've also been charged with defining success. Interestingly enough, the number one way that we want to define success in our department is we want to win. And we want to compete with grit. And it's interesting, though, because we have to be, excuse me, very careful that that's not the only way we define success. We think care is an observable behavior. And so we want to see that in our programs. We want to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. We want kids to be a part of it. We want our coaching staffs to want to be in our programs and coach. We want our teams to overachieve. We want them to perform better than they might otherwise be. We want to be consistent. We want to have a work ethic, and we want to improve. And we take great pride in our reputation. the way we conduct ourselves, both on the road and at home, the way we compete, the way our coaches treat our kids, the way our coaches treat the officials, the way we treat our guests when we are competing. Those are all very, very important to us. And so we've determined that those are ways to define success. And interestingly, some of these are really tough to measure. We haven't figured that piece out yet, but we've started that process of at least defining that success. I think I just closed out of this, Sarah. Was I done with it?
That was the last page.
What was the last one? Okay, good. And so this is the work that we've been doing over the last year. And as I said, it's a cyclical process. We're going to keep revisiting this. We're going to keep messaging this. This is who we are. This is what we're about. And the fact that our programs are doing just amazing things.